Thank you, my lady.
Thank you, my lady.
My lady. There's nothing like a date. Our dates are always not just us getting away.
They're events.
They're always something with people or events. But I do have to say, I posted on Instagram a couple of days ago that Philip actually took me out on a date for the first time in too long.
That's a pretty generous word to call it.
What, too long?
No, the date.
Well, dates can be at home. I have no problem.
It's a home date in the RV, baby.
I have no problem with home dates, and it started right there in that RV for like a half an hour. It was blissful. It just shows you how badly you need it.
So badly.
And I just talked to a girlfriend today, and I think we all need it. So we are leaving the house. Our friends are actually here, and they are watching their kids and our kids for the next few hours. We are headed to a gala. Is that what I call it?
A regatta gala.
A regatta gala? Not a regatta gala. If anybody knows the reference to that. That reference is from Friends, if you don't know that already. But it's a gala for, it is so dark. I hope you guys don't mind a dark start to this.
Well, just do that.
So we are actually going to a gala that we have been invited to through CareNet, which is a pregnancy crisis center. And so we are going there, supporting some people that we've met here locally that we have built a relationship with. And then when we shared our stories, they invited us to come to their gala, which is very cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so it is November. It is National Adoption Awareness Month, and we've gotten a couple of questions recently on how we don't share a ton about adoption, and part of it would be because we aren't actively in the process, and that just makes it easier to be sharing things and sharing your journey and your experiences. Part of it is because as our kids have gotten older, a lot of you have noticed we share less and less of our children.
As far as putting things on the internet,
Yeah.
they're not the focal point.
Yeah.
What we're doing with our family as a whole is the focal point.
Yeah.
But what the details of their lifestyle, their living, and all of that is not necessarily the focal point.
Yeah, it's more we like to share and encourage you about the process of growing your family, which is our story. That's the journey that we usually share here. Our kids have definitely been shown a lot through the years, but as they have grown, we've kind of wanted to keep them more private, and we've never shared details of their adoptions. And that has always been something that is theirs, that is their story, that is theirs to hold and to share as they see fit. We have shared very vague general stories of their story, but the details of their story, you'll never find that here. If you're curious on the deep depths of their story, that's just not something that we'll ever share. Another reason maybe I don't share as much as I used to is I feel like in general, in your 20s, you feel like you know everything. And not totally, but you feel pretty confident in your knowledge. And then I feel like in your 30s, you gain wisdom in the sense where you are wise enough to know that you don't know everything. And that's a very general blanket statement. I would say as we have gotten older, we are just in this season where we are learning about adoption, and we are learning of what's best for each of our kids. And we're learning so much that has actually given me a new passion and pinpoint of something we want to pursue. And I'm curious what your guys' feedback is, if this would be a resource that you guys would want too. I would really like to find, and maybe you guys can help me find, is people that are counselors and therapists specific to adoption and specific to infertility, and to have our nonprofit, Love Multiplies, be able to give a resource page and a place for people to come find counselors. And I say that in the sense where as we age and I'm realizing with my wisdom that I don't know everything, I have found that it would be really neat if I could reach out to a counselor and just talk to them, especially as I am raising girls that are starting to talk to me and have questions. As before, I used to feel like I knew everything. I am wise enough to know that wise counsel and a good counselor and a good therapist would be really beneficial and could be very helpful as we grow and raise our children. So anyways, my question is, do you guys have any resources of people across the country that are adoption specific counselors, or at least they have a strong experience in that, where they might be a counselor and then adoption is something that they just very much understand? Does that make sense?
I think we're just learning how to parent in this stage where there's a lot more questions than even we have answers to, because there's a lot of information that we know and there's a lot of information that we don't know. And so I think that we are able, it was so much easier to navigate the first few years of their adoptions because we knew enough and they weren't asking any questions. And so now we're in the fact finding, like you said. Now we're in the soul searching. Now we're in the like information gathering about how to, when to talk about and what age. I mean, that's hard in general as parents. Like a parent's biggest concern at times is like, how do you breach innocence, and how do you answer the questions in a way that keeps the innocence alive in their hearts. And whether that's holiday questions, or whether that's adoption questions, or whether that's just questions about the realities of life. And that's just a normal parent thing. You add another layer of adoption on top of that, and it becomes a little more murky. It becomes a little more difficult. And so we used to talk a ton about open adoption, and that's kind of how they formed. That's how the adoptions were formed. We're just trying to protect as we are learning. So the things that we know, we share. The things that we're learning, we wait until we're confident in that information. And so then we share. And so I just think we're in a stage right now where it's better to just keep things private and personal with them. Most of the stuff that we have shared, if not all of it, it's all just been a part of their birth journey, about the journey of us finding them. It was our story to bring them here, and now it's their story from here on out. And so we're just learning how to do that, and how to respect the girls, and how to. This is so incredibly new in a generational sense with social media. This is so new and profound and important. And so we just have more caution, I think, than we used to. And I think that has come out of hardship and wisdom and learning and just sensing and learning from others. And so the deepest desire of our hearts is to protect and to guide and to nurture and to lead our girls as we're communicating with them, and we're learning together, and they're learning about their story, and we're teaching them, and we're learning about them. And everything is so involved. It's just not, their personal questions are just not necessary for the masses, and their personal questions. And
our family shares very publicly, but we also have a lot that's private. There have been a couple comments that have come up that really struck a chord in my heart, where it was apparent that it wasn't coming from someone who has adopted, which is okay. We can all have questions, but adoption doesn't end when the papers are signed and the baby is home in your arms, or child, depending what age. Adoption is a lifetime.
100%.
And so to say or to feel oh, that adoption was easy because we found Kinsley's birth mom fairly quickly and were placed, and the baby came home to our family quickly. But to call that an easy adoption is negating that Kinsley has a lifelong experience of learning about her story and her processing and her feeling those emotions. To say with Callie, it was an easy adoption because so many people came on board with our fundraiser and we were able to financially afford to move forward with that adoption, which we wouldn't have been able to pursue forward without the love and support of so many.
Which is so interesting. Also, all of that which we were given, we also gave back, and were able to help others afford their own things. And that's not
these are things that we don't share.
Yeah, it's not information that needs to be public. There's so much that doesn't need to be public as we're raising kids in this age, and this time of their life is incredibly private.
Yeah.
And if at some point they want to make it public, that's absolutely on them. I mean, I feel like we want to preserve the innocence of their story.
Yeah.
The beginning part of their story, how they were formed, how they were, that whole entire story, that was our story, meeting their birth mom, meeting them, raising them, and taking them into this phase. Now it's so much more personal because it's so much more connected in a bigger sense. And so I mean, it's really about ongoing we are learning. We are constantly learning. We've had some really big ups and some really big downs in this, and I would say we've had a lot of really impactful and really emotional things that have happened. And so we just desire so deeply for that information going forward to be coming from them.
Yeah.
Now, in private circles, in Bible studies, in the close-knit parts of our family, that's really where private information is shared and trusted.
Sure.
And so it's just not on a public platform. It's just not the space. And so we are grateful that their adoptions inspired so many others.
Yes.
That was the purpose and the intention of sharing in the beginning, was to say, if we can do it, and it can be difficult through this set of scenarios, then you also can do it, and we also want to help you. And that's why we formed what we did, was because we said we just deeply want to give back and we want to help. And so we go to things like this because we really believe in this story of these children that have a right to have a great life. They have a right to have parents that love them. They have a right to have parents that want to raise them.
Yeah.
They have a right to have a situation that's healthy for them. And we're trying to figure out on the private side that you don't hear from us, how do we progress all of this forward, because we've been so public with a lot of things. And so the reason that you don't hear certain things is because we love our daughters.
True.
And it's because we care for them.
Yeah.
And it's because past the ultimate first stage of bringing them in and having them placed into our home, the rest is their story. And they're just children, and they just deserve to play. And so we say, hey, they're going outside to play. Hey, we're gardening today. Hey, we're doing this and that today. The ups and the downs and the all of that stuff just is so much more personal. And so you guys can hear the ups and the downs from us. You guys can hear all of that stuff from our end about us individually. But it's they're if they want to share it at some point, they can. So yeah.
But yeah, that's a little touch of us not sharing our daughters' journeys as much anymore, and for you guys to really understand that adoption is continuing every day. So we're gonna get inside.